since I've made a video, but for the new year, I'm going to start off with the games that I completed of 2016. Um, First games first is Fallout 4. Completed this, and I think it took me 180 hours to platinum it. It is one of my favorite games of all time now. Just just a great game, lots of fun. Love the soundtrack. Diamond City Radio, 40s music actually got me to start listening to 40s music in my car, which is kind of weird, I know. Um, Second game was Mario Kart 8 on Wii U. I've never really been that much into Mario Kart because I've always been into Diddy Kong Racing when I was a kid. Diddy Kong Racing just had a campaign, it had boss battles, and a little more challenging, whereas like Mario Kart's always been kind of easy. But Mario Kart 8 was a really good game. Beautiful scenery, fun characters. You can even play as Link and drive around, and they had like Legend of Zelda themed racetracks too. I think it was a DLC, but it was pretty fun. Um, Third game was Ocarina of Time on 3DS. I've had this game on Nintendo 64 since I was a kid, and it's always been one of my favorite games of all time, but I had never completed it up until last year. I also finally read the manga, which was kind of cheesy, but it was alright. Um, but it's still one of the highest rated ones. The only thing I don't really like is some of the dungeons and puzzles, like the water temple. It's really hard to get through it if you don't have a guide. You just get really lost. Um, Fourth game was Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons on Steam. Now, that game was kind of like a platformer side scroller. You start off as two brothers who are going to search for medicine for their father who is dying. It's a really beautiful game, really sad. Um, it's probably a lot better to play on the computer than it would be on like PlayStation 4 or like Xbox One, just because you do control both of the brothers at the same time, and it's like a side scroller. So it can get kind of challenging, but it's really fun to play it on a keyboard. So I suggest doing that if you decide on picking that up. Fifth game was Gone Home on Steam. You are playing as a girl who's coming home from a year of studying abroad, and when she comes home, there's nobody there. And she's trying to figure out what happened to her sister, where her parents are, and everything. And it really just the ending to the story was just kind of like, okay, that's dumb. It wasn't like I thought maybe it would be like kind of like a horror, like something like happened to her sister, but it was really just something stupid. I'm not going to give it away. Go ahead and play it if you want to. It was only like 2 hours long, but don't pay $20 for it. Firewatch was the sixth game that I completed on PlayStation 4. It was a digital download. I think I heard they were making a movie into it, which is kind of strange because, I mean, it was decent, but I don't know that it's movie worthy. But you go out as this park ranger, and it's just kind of like a interactive story is really what it is. But I mean, it was pretty good. Also really short. No platinum on it either, which kind of sucks. Seventh game was Call of Duty Black Ops on 360. Now, I used to play Call of Duty a lot, but the Modern Warfare, Infinity Ward games, I always kind of shit talked about Treyarch, but I had never actually really played them. It was just from what I had heard from other people. But this was probably the second best Call of Duty game I've played. The first one I would say was probably Modern Warfare 4, and they're very close. I mean, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is what I meant. But as far as the campaigns go, I really don't care about multiplayer, except for Modern Warfare 2, which was pretty fun. But yeah, it was really, really good game. And I also like the credits at the end was pretty good. It was Eminem, so it was nice. And then right after that, I went on and played through Black Ops 2, which was also a really good campaign, but it wasn't nearly as good as Black Ops, the first one. A little more like, it was starting to get into the futuristic stuff, which I just don't like. I like, you know, old, like, war-related, like, more, like, realistic, I guess, when it comes to first person shooters. Ninth game I completed was Michonne on PlayStation 4. It was by Telltale Games. It was kind of just like a mini episode. I think it was only like 4 or 5 episodes long, and it was only a digital download. There was no platinum on it either. It was okay. It was kind of like in between, like showing what happened to Michonne in between like the comics at one part, which I'm not going to spoil. It hasn't happened yet in the show, so but it takes place in between 2 parts. It was okay, but it's not my favorite Telltale game. 10th game, actually, this was a game of the month. I had just joined in on this new group called Game Clubs, which is really like one of my favorite groups on Facebook. There's only probably about close to 100 of us right now, which we've grown quite a bit from when I started. I think there was only like maybe 40 something. But every month we play a different game. Has to be under 20 hours and it has to be under $20. And the first month that I started, we chose, actually this was my vote and it won, but they put everybody's votes, everyone gets 2 votes, and they go on the wheel, and then whatever the wheel picks is the game that we end up playing. And Halo was the one that we played for that month. I also, you know, never understood why Halo was so popular. I always thought it was a little overrated, but that's when I was really into GameCube and Nintendo games. And everybody else was like, well, Halo, Xbox is so much better, and blah, blah, blah. Now I don't really pick and choose. I just, you know, just play games on any system. But Halo is probably one of my favorite games now. This was a really, really good game. Probably one of the best first-person shooters that I've played. Just the combat was excellent. The story could have used a little bit more work, I guess, which probably gets better as they go along. I still need to play the other ones. And you know, I actually didn't have as much trouble driving the Warthog as everybody else seemed to, but I don't know. But I love the shotgun and the hordes of enemies at some parts. It was just really fun. And then the 11th game that I completed was Uncharted 4. And as you can see, I have the really pretty steelbook I got with the collector's edition because Uncharted is one of my favorite series of all time. This ended on a really good game. They said that this is going to be the last Uncharted game, which I highly doubt. Without spoiling too much, I think it's going to continue, just may not be with the same characters as you were used to. I'm about like 80% on the trophies. Still need to platinum it. Some of them are multiplayer though, and I have terrible internet. This video will probably take 20 hours for me to upload, to be honest. Um, and then 12th game was also a Game Clubs game. It was for the month of May. May the Force be with you. Or May the 4th be with you, yeah. But Star Wars The Force Unleashed on 360. It was fun, but it was very clunky, very glitchy at some parts, and it kind of really annoyed me. But other than that, it was a fun game. And then 13 was a game that one of my best friends has always talked to me about, and he loves it so much. I always really liked the music because he would play it on the keyboard for me, and but I started playing this, and it was for game clubs too. But it's Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Now, I really never play games out of order, but they said it would be okay because this was more like a prequel. So I went ahead and did it, but this is a really good game too. One of my favorites of the Game Club picks. At first, I didn't think I was going to like this, but Snake definitely is a very likable character. He's really funny, and it's just, I mean, it was a really good game. Some of the controls were a little sucky at some parts, but, and then the cutscenes were really long, but I don't mind that. I like the story. And then 14 was Super Mario Kart on Super Nintendo, which I think this is actually the first Super Nintendo game I've ever completed, because I never owned a Super Nintendo as a kid, and while I collect for Super Nintendo, I don't really play it that much. Hardly at all, really. I don't know. I'm just not as much into cartridge games except for Nintendo 64. But it was really fun. I think it's the most challenging of the Mario Karts that I've played. Definitely. But it was fun. And number 15 was Uncharted on PlayStation 4, the remaster. Yes, I've already played through 1 through 3 way before, but I decided, well, it was with the game clubs, they were playing it, so I was going to play through it again. Hopefully I'll go back and platinum it at some point, but I don't hate it as much as everybody else does. A lot of people didn't like the first one very much, but I liked the environment the most in the first one, but the controls were a little clunky at some parts. It was definitely a lot easier with 2 and 3, and maybe that's why people liked those two more. But and then 16 was Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. Not my favorite Lego game, but it's pretty close. It may be like second or third. Harry Potter and Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, Jurassic World were my favorite Lego games. I platinumed this too. Lego games are always just really a lot of fun, and they're pretty easy to platinum. They are time consuming because they take over 30 hours usually to platinum, but because you have to get all the characters, get all the collectibles, and everything. 17 was another Game Clubs game, and it was Batman Arkham Asylum on PlayStation 3. This was a really, really good game. I had never played any of this series, and now I'm going to go through all of them. I actually, to be honest, until this last year, I've never really been that big of a fan of like DC comics, but now I'm starting to lean a little more towards it. Even though people hated the movies, Suicide Squad was kind of bad, but I still enjoyed it, and I actually really liked Batman versus Superman. Judge me all you want, but I really liked it. And I've been watching all the Bruce Timm animated movies. collecting the comics, reading the comics, and now I'm a big fan of Batman now. And this was a really good game to start. um, Number 18 was a Game Clubs game. It was Costume Quest 2 on Steam. We started doing themes for our game clubs, and that month was supposed to be Halloween spooky, and Costume Quest 2 won. It was a cute game, but not really my thing. A little too childish for me, I guess. But I mean, you pretty much you're these kids that are dressed up in costumes, and you can battle the bad guys with your costumes. You have certain powers with your costumes, and I mean that was kind of cool. But it's kind of like an RPG, but really short. And then 19 was Deadpool on 360. Now, I didn't think I was going to like this game very much because, unlike everybody else, I wasn't that big of a fan of the Deadpool movie. I think it's more Ryan Reynolds than it is anybody else, but I really liked the game. The game was a lot of fun. Almost kind of felt like the gameplay was kind of like God of War. I don't know, just kind of like hack and slash sort of thing. And I really enjoyed it. The story was funny, Deadpool was funny, everything was just great. And then number 20 was Batman, the Telltale series game. This was a lot of fun. This is probably my second favorite of the Telltale series, next to The Wolf Among Us, and The Walking Dead Season 1 was probably third or tied with this. But it was really fun. Like any of them, they're really short. They're just interactive stories. I know they're doing Guardians of the Galaxy this year. That's going to be great. And number 21 was Alice Madness Returns on 360. I really hated this game at first, but after, I think, chapter 3, I started to like it a little bit more. It's just some of the controls were a little weird. Like the jumping was a little delayed for me for some reason, and I came across a glitch that wouldn't let me advance further, so I had to go back and like restart a point to get past it. But it was really long too. The chapters were just really long. I think there were like 4 or 5 hours apiece each chapter, and you couldn't save at any point. There were just save points that would come as you were playing, and so that kind of sucked because some of them were really far apart. So if you had to go do something, you pretty much had to say screw it and redo it over later, which really sucked just because it was so long. So that's the 21 games that I completed last year. My goal this year is to get at least 2 games a month. I've already gotten 1 for this week, so I think I might play a short game today and do maybe 2 a week. Try 2 a week, but I'm really busy a lot of the time. I don't have time, unfortunately. It's because I work an hour away, and that takes up a lot of time, and then I'm working a lot, so. I'm going to try to do videos maybe once a week. Should have Video Games Monthly coming in next month, or next week. They just shipped out today, and I don't know. I'll figure out some others. Maybe a pickups video. It's kind of starting to pile up a little bit from Christmas, and although I didn't really get a lot of video game related Christmas items, but so until the next video, I'll see you guys later.